Good evening and a warm welcome to News Hour. My name is Mbalu Bangura. Coming up in this edition, former British Prime Minister pays a working visit to Sierra Leone. First and second accused persons in the murder case involving popular disc jockey DJ Clef sentenced to 25 years imprisonment and death by hanging. Government expresses concern over the high spate of clique violence and gangsterism in the city. And Office of National Security hosts validation forum of the proposed Counter-Terrorism Act. All these stories and more, including business and sports, in this edition of News Hour. President Nkrumah has received in audience the former British Prime Minister Tony Blair at State House. The two men held closed-door discussions and consultations on the African Governance Initiative program in Sierra Leone. Tony Blair also met with key ministers and government officials with whom he held several meetings. Meanwhile, the former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, as part of his visit to Sierra Leone, has made a familiarization tour to the Queen Elizabeth II Quay. The former British Prime Minister was taken on a conducted tour of the port facilities.
On his arrival at the Queen Elizabeth II Quay, the former British Prime Minister was received by the Minister of Trade, Captain Aliyu Patso, and the General Manager of the Sierra Leone Port Authority, Abu Bangura. The familiarization visit of the former British Prime Minister was part of activities lined up whilst in the country. At the port, Mr. Tony Blair toured the investment of Nectar and Bolore. He was updated by the various managers of these companies on their operations and investments, saying that they invested in the country to enhance the country's economic growth and also complement government's agenda for prosperity. Speaking to journalists, the former British Prime Minister Tony Blair said he is impressed with the developments at the port.
We've been having our project here with my charity supporting the government. For many years we've been discussing the importance of the port and the importance of getting a really first-class port for the country, because that makes the economy move. So what is very exciting is to see today that things are really happening here, and the investment that's been made, for example, by Bolore is a big investment in itself, but it will improve something like 8 times the amount of goods that can come in the port. And what that will mean, especially when it's combined with the new processes, what they call the one-stop window or one-stop shop comes into being, it'll mean that people can get their goods in and out of Sierra Leone much faster. This is very good.
He assured the people of Sierra Leone in attracting more foreign investors. General Manager of the Sierra Leone Port Authority, Abu Bangura, described the visit of the former British Prime Minister as a further demonstration of how strategic the port is. Mr. Bangura spoke of a number of transformations that has taken place at the ports and that there are other in the pipelines. He said some of the facilities have been outsourced to private investors.
First and second accused persons in the murder case involving popular disc jockey Sydney Buckle DJ Clef have been sentenced to 25 years imprisonment and death by hanging, respectively. The first and second accused persons, Bemba Moifoe alias LA Chocolate and Fode Amara Kamara alias G-Fag, were convicted on 2 counts charged of conspiracy to commit murder. A 12-man panel of jury led by its foreman returned a verdict of guilt after a circumstantial evidence connected to the first and second accused persons to the offences. Third accused person, Avril Orerena, was acquitted and discharged on the 2 counts. The case was presided over by Justice Alusain Sise with a prosecution team headed by the Director of Public Prosecutions, Sulaiman Ba. The accused persons were represented by defense team IP Mami, Pius Sise, and S. Ngevao. The Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Joseph Fitzgerald Kamara, has referred to the spate of cliques and killings in the country as a complete practice of domestic terrorism that undermines peace, security, and state institutions. The Attorney General was speaking at a validation conference on the proposed Counter-Terrorism Act held at the Senior Police Officers' Mess Kingdom. The Office of National Security and the Counter-Terrorism Committee organized the forum to give final inputs into the Counter-Terrorism Act. Ibrahim Samura reports.
As we monitor the escalation of clique fermentation, that is also domestic terrorism. These are things we have to start to factor in as we look through ourselves. More particularly in the Western area, this is domestic terrorism of some sort. These are matters for immediate attention of all of us that are seated here, especially those of us in the security sector. As I normally conduct my reviews of cases that are before the court, one thing that come to struck me right deep into my heart, and that is the escalation of murder rates.
The validation conference on the proposed counterterrorism legislation brought together personnel from the security sector and legal practitioners to carefully study the draft document and fine-tune it before tabled in Parliament for enactment. The document was designed by the Office of National Security and partners to criminalize the acts and conduct of terrorists in the country. The spate of terrorism has serious threat not only in the sub-region but also at the global level and a serious concern to the United Nations. Director General of the Office of National Security and Chair of the Counter-Terrorism Committee, Ansumana Mohammed Idris, said terrorism poses global challenges and is affecting the sub-region and the globe. He said the Office of National Security has been making effort in the implementation of the counterterrorism strategy. Mr. Idris cited various countries in Africa and parts of the world where terrorists have caused havoc, underscoring the importance of the draft Counterterrorism Act in the fight against terrorism in the country. He said they have engaged the Muslim community and youth on terrorism. The National Coordinator, Office of National Security, Ishmael Tarawali, said the instrument was put together by them to put the country in readiness of attack and to have a legal document to try anyone caught. He made it clear that the country is prone to terrorist attack and the sub-region, citing the terrorist attack in one of the Mano River countries, Ivory Coast. Keynote speaker, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Joseph Fitzgerald Kamara, commended the drafters of the Act, saying that the issue of terrorism is not a new phenomenon, but due to the growing threats, has raised grave concern for the United Nations. He said the proposed bill criminalizes terrorism and its related activities. Mr. Kamara catalogued a number of instruments that promulgated to fight terrorism, including the Counter-Financial Terrorism Act, but saying that are not enough to tackle the conduct of terrorists. He told the conference that the issue of terrorism and its related activities are very close to President Nkrumah. Representatives from the Aroslav Brigadier General David Taluva and the AIG operations in the Sri Lankan police welcomed the move for the formulation of law on counterterrorism. They told the organizers that the issue of terrorism is a security concern, emphasizing the need to enact robust legislation. Brigadier General Taluva recommended to create a counter-surveillance and intelligence group to fight the menace or the threats of terrorism in the country. The threat of terrorism today is very alarming and making headlines in international discourse, and one of the transnational organized crimes and characteristics of new war.
The Anti-Corruption Commission has said in a press release that Aisha Yuansin and 2 members of our executive were granted bail on arrival at the ACC, but could meet the bail conditions. Aisha Yuansin, her vice president, and secretary general were arrested on Wednesday for failing to comply with the instructions of the Anti-Corruption Commission in the investigation of a matter dealing with the use of SLFA funds. According to a release from the ACC, they had sent a notice to SLFA to furnish the Commission with information bordering on records of all donations made by FIFA and CAF for the period January 2014 to date. Records of all gate takings in respect of matches played by Leonsters for the same period. Records of all funds donated to SLFA for the same period, and any other document relevant to investigations. According to the ACC release, because of the persistent refusals to comply with their instructions of the Commission ordered their arrest. The release ends, shall continue to update the public on developments and reaffirms its commitment to the national campaign against graft. Sierra Leone has today joined other countries to observe the International Literacy Day. The day is to take stock of the significant strides taken by government to promote access to quality education at all levels for citizens. Government also used the occasion to reflect on challenges that needs to be addressed to enhance literacy in the ministry. We now bring you an excerpt from the Minister of Education.
Numeracy skills that enable them to participate fully in national development initiative. Without a highly literate population in any nation, all well-intentioned development efforts are bound to move at snail's pace. In 2016, we recorded progress in our literacy efforts in schools. More children sat for and passed the NPSC than ever before in the country. More girls sat to the 2016 exams than boys, which clearly indicates that interventions to support girls' education are bearing fruits. Out of a total number of 115,669 pupils who sat to the NPSC, up to 87,032 passed in line with the cutoff grade of 230. This shows an overall success rate of 75.24%. There were 43,091 girls and 43,941 boys who passed. Although this shows a narrowing of the performance gap between boys and girls, there is still need for more attention to be given to girl child to achieve gender parity. The Ebola virus disease, which forced schools to close for a period as long as 9 months, did undermine some of the gains made in enrollment, transition, and completion of the education cycle. A large number of school-going girls became pregnant during the school closure and were at risk of dropping out of school. Except for the intervention of my ministry with an innovative strategy, a bridging program that we developed and implemented with support from our development partners. The new program aimed to provide education for the girls during their pregnancy, with the main objective to reintegrate them into the mainstream school soon after giving birth. Up to 14,500 adolescent pregnant schoolgirls were enrolled in 310 learning centers throughout the country. By January this year, 5,072 re-entered the mainstream school system of education, whilst 8,918 of them are continuing at the learning centers and will return to mainstream schooling at the beginning of the 2016-2017 academic year starting September. This strategy, implemented through out-of-school educational provision, reinforces our two-pronged approach to diversify and extend both formal and non-formal education in order to combat illiteracy in our country. During an annual education sector review in the Education Week, we noted that overall quality of education seemed to be improving steadily due to rapid action on curriculum reform, distribution of teaching learning materials, school broadcast, and teacher training. We have produced a national curriculum framework and guidelines for basic education in the country, which represent a more comprehensive reform process to promote 9 years of quality basic education as a right for all our children. We aim, among other things, to strengthen peace through equity and inclusion, with a chance for every child to learn and succeed regardless of their background. We have also recently launched the Teaching Service Commission to take full responsibility for teacher management and the improvement of the professional status and well-being of teachers.
That was the Minister of Education, Dr. N.E.C. Due to the deplorable condition in schools, the Freetown City Council has provided furniture to 23 primary and junior secondary schools within the Freetown municipality. The distribution of the furniture was done at the Freetown City Council on Wallace Johnson Street. Abubakar Bangura reports.
Mrs. Lai, this is what we have for you. These ones are fabricated, as you have say, from this little 2 tons. It is meant for the children, and we want them to be under your watchful eyes. Teach the children how to use these ones. They are not meant for jumping or dancing on. They are meant for sitting.
Lack of furniture and teaching learning materials in schools is hampering learning of pupils, a concern the Freetown City Council is poised to address under its purview. The 460 tables and chairs came through grants from the Decentralized Service Delivery Project of the Council through the Decentralized Secretariat, with the aim to provide effective service delivery and improve learning environments. From the 2,000 furniture, 1,000 tables and chairs have already been distributed to some schools. These 460 will be distributed to 23 schools, and the remaining 500 tables and chairs, when completed, will also be distributed to other schools. The aim is to serve each ward and make the pupils happy and comfortable. According to the education officer, N.E.C, learning will not be conducive if pupils are sitting on the floor.
I am definitely not happy. So it is for my supervisors when we go around. What we see around in the schools really needs attention like this one, to address and make this furniture and release to the schools as quickly as we receive them.
He described education as the bedrock for development, saying improved seating accommodation in schools will provide access and retention of pupils in schools. Mr. Five stressed the need to handle the tables and chairs with care. He said Council will be embarking on an effective monitoring tour in all schools and called on beneficiaries to maintain the furniture to the best of their ability. A representative from DECSEC, Abdul Karim Kanu, said the Council is working assiduously to provide the schools that have been devolved to Council. He said DECSEC is quite satisfied with the performance of the Council in service delivery. He encouraged beneficiaries to take advantage of the opportunity. Handing over the furniture to the beneficiaries,
Acting Mayor of Freetown City Council, Hannah Mary Jaya, said council has demanded to provide teaching and learning materials for schools, and the distribution of this furniture is a clear indication of their commitment to provide conducive learning atmosphere for pupils. One of the beneficiaries, Augusta Kuruma of the Linem JSS Malaman Lomley, appreciated the gesture that will address
The National Electoral Commission has met with election stakeholders to brief them on preparedness of the Commission for the 2015-2019 electoral cycle. Rose Konima-Stevens reports.
Addressing election stakeholders at the National Electoral Commission's Conference Hall on Tower Hill, Electoral Officer Christopher Jones said, boundary delimitation is the most complicated, difficult and controversial exercise than is usually expected. He informed the gathering through a PowerPoint presentation that in order to enhance the credibility of N.E.C and to create a level playing field for all stakeholders in the electoral process, constituency and ward boundaries must be drawn in a transparent and fair manner. He stressed, among other things, that variations in the population quota are permissible to take account of means of communications, geographical features, density of population, the areas and boundaries of the chiefdoms, other administrative or traditional areas, among others.
The delimiting electoral boundaries has been described as follows: administratively demanding and politically tricky exercise. As long as sharing something, each political party or some other person who wants more of it, but we won't allow that to happen. Constituency delimitation. Constitution, section 38, subsection 1 on to 7, gives them the mandate what to do and what not to do. Constitutional instrument number 2 of 2008, the World Boundary Limitation, regulations, public elections, local government act. These are the legal framework, the books that we use to do our exercise, so make sure we are transparent and answerable to the people of Sierra Leone.
The Director of Media and External Relations, N.E.C, Albert Masakoy, explained the level of N.E.C's internal preparedness regarding the 2015 to 2019 electoral cycle. He said the Commission will embark on construction of regional offices, and budget summary for 2017 is over 330 billion leones, among others.
Information and campaign strategies towards the process, embarked on staff recruitment, and for the staff recruitment, the process actually started somewhere between April and May, where adverts were sent out.
To keep people abreast with the operations of the National Electoral Commission, the Electoral Commissioner, Western Area, Miata French, had this to say.
The elections process has started. At this point, we are on the boundary limitation, but we decided that we needed to update them as to where we were and what our future plans are going to be. It was a very good meeting. There were a lot of questions from the stakeholders as to how we have been able to conclude on the aspects that we have concluded so far and what we'll be doing going forward. And we hope to continue these meetings on a monthly basis, and every month we'll be meeting with stakeholders to update them on our level of preparedness for the elections and any other projects and activities that we go along, so that people understand the process better, because I think we are getting to the point in Sierra Leone where people are realizing that elections are not just an event, but it's a whole process, and we need to pay keen attention all along the way so that we better understand and we are better able to participate.
The election stakeholders present at the meeting raised concerns that voter education be stepped up so as to ensure proper sensitization. SLBC News, Rose Konima-Stevens.
A cross-section of the Bike Riders Union members has passed a vote of no confidence on its national president, David Cisse. The action by some members of the union's membership followed alleged corruption-related cases. SLBC captured the scene of the meeting.
June 4th, we make a resolution of nine points. We send it to the parents' body. We hope say by this time, the national executive of the president, if I don't respond to we, We get several issues who point out as a regional executive. It failed for Dr. We, it failed for make peace with the executive. Upon all what you don't do, it open other accounts, it run a fake account like EcoBank, it say in a president. Because of NTSO, we as regional heads, we don't invoke Article 86, that is Sierra Commercial Motorbike Riders Constitution. We don't get two-thirds majority today, right across the country. We invoke this particular article also with a pass vote of non-confidence by this particular president. So what we believe, whether we Bible or we Quran. So with this also, we go want to make the president for make a statement on behalf of the Sierra Commercial Motorbike Riders.
Mr. Chairman, I tell you, thank you for the kind responsibility we don't over today. And by God's grace, I assure all bike riders in this country, from today, let them know say they're not there under relief by God's grace. Let everybody abide by the rules and regulations of the laws of the land, please. By God's grace, I believe say with all the support where they don't give me this particular mantle, by God's grace, everything will work fine by God in power. By God in power, transparency they happen. Anything where they happen at this union, everybody they know the correct thing by God in power. And anything where they happen at this union will get a level. That level they will not ever jump on. We get region, we get a structure where we say now for work with. But everybody for no say the law now they fantastic for all. So law abide. By God's grace, I believe so for abide with the problems we will get, all go solve and bike riders union. I tell you now, thank you.
Those were members of the Bike Riders Union passing a vote of no confidence on their president, David Sisse. The Anti-Corruption Commission has said in a press release that Aisha Yuansin and 2 members of her executive were granted bail on arrival at the ACC, but could not meet the bail conditions. Aisha Yuansin, her vice president, and Secretary General were arrested on Wednesday for failing to comply with the instructions of the Anti-Corruption Commission in the investigation of a matter dealing with the use of SLFA funds. According to a release from the ACC, they had sent a notice to SLFA to furnish the Commission with information bordering on records of all donations made by FIFA and CAF for the period January 2014 to date. Records of all gate takings in respect of matches played by Leonsters for the same period. Records of all funds donated to SLFA for the same period and any other document relevant to the investigations. According to the ACC release, because of the persistent refusal to comply with their conditions, with their instructions of the Commission, the Commissioner ordered their arrest. The Commission, the release ends, shall continue to update the public on developments and reaffirms its commitment to the national campaign against graft. To end the news are the main points again. Former British Prime Minister has paid a working visit to Sierra Leone. First and second accused persons in the murder case involving popular disc jockey DJ Clef have been sentenced to 25 years imprisonment and death by hanging. Government has expressed concern over the high spate of clique violence and gangsterism in the city. And Office of National Security has hosted validation forum of the proposed Counter-Terrorism Act. That's all in this edition of News Hour, broadcast live on the SLBC. On behalf of our news editor, Asmi Bar, I am Mbalu Bangura. For more information about our programs, do send us an email to www.contactus.slbc.sl. Thanks for your attention and good night.